Hey, how's it going? I pulled some cards, and obviously I'm gonna talk. That may lead places. Anyway, look at my signs, please. And okay, here we go. So I pulled from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. I pulled the Firefly card, the air element, and hold on. I probably should have done this before I gotten started. Trying to get my words out before I got them started. Okay. Should have found the page that I wanted for this before I got started. Oh my. Oh, and there it is. Oh my goodness. A sneeze tried to come in there, but then it didn't. It was very tingly and itchy. I don't know about you, because I don't even know how to look for the answer to this. I was just at the doctor, and I'm about to go again, I think, this week. Different doctor, but I guess I could ask then. But has anyone else been having like a runny nose, but it's changed to a different way? Like, I've been getting the feeling like I'm getting a cold, and then like my nose will start running or get stuffy. It's just always stuffy now. But rather than being like kind of gummy or gooey mucus, it's just water, like just a stream of liquid just starts falling out of my nose, like there's an invisible neti pot somewhere dumping it in the other side. The last time it happened, I was out somewhere, like in an establishment, and my nose just started streaming. It just happened to be one of those odd occasions where I had a tissue, because I always, you don't need to know that. Anyway, so I did actually find another person that's happening to, but of course they have no idea why either. Well, I don't have no idea. I have some idea, but it's nothing I can go verify anywhere, which makes it kind of like, why? But the other thing is that that watery mucus, or whatever the heck's going on with that, is like caustic. It burns so bad in the inside of my nose when I wake up every morning. It's completely swollen, like almost shut. Thank God I have a mouth to breathe through. And it's very like sore in there because of this stinging snot water. It's just terrible. Yeah, so that's been going on for a while, and I have no idea who to ask or what to do about it. But I would like it to stop, because it makes it extremely difficult to wear my little jewelry there. I guess I should switch to a stud if I can find wherever I stuck those things. But anyway, just if anyone has any comments on that stuff, that gross stuff I'm asking about, feel free to speak up. And I just discovered recently that in the YouTube Studio app, or portion of when you make a video on YouTube, you can go to the YouTube Studio. Anyway, I pretty much only go there to edit whatever I'm uploading, and I'm not like looking at the analytics, or like I'm not looking at subscriber count, or I'm just not even looking at that. Ow! That's the other thing. You can't touch your nose either. It really hurts. Anyway, So I was doing something the other day, like to a video editing, I'm sure, and I touched it so that it scrolled up and it was like comments were there, and they were from like 3 months ago, and I'd seen some comments from some people, and those I found late too, because I don't know why, even though it's supposed to, like, I've clicked a box that says show all likes, show all comments. It doesn't do it all the time. And if you watch other channels, then you will know that this is not unusual. So those other people, though, have like thousands of subscribers, and they're like have ads, and I don't have all of that. So I don't know why my channel is like indiscriminately sometimes showing me that I have likes and comments, and sometimes it doesn't. So like, if I haven't answered you, I genuinely did not know it was there. So I will try to pay closer attention to that. Anyway, so I also pulled from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck the number 45 card, Repairing the Veil, and the subtitle is Forgiveness. This, this is kind of like reassuring on one hand, but then kind of disturbing on the other, because it's all like, there it is. Like sunny and like dawn or something, and where there's like butterfly. Well, there's a butterfly, and I'm not real sure what this other squiggle is. It may be the artist's signature, but there seems to be like an elm tree, if I'm reading the leaves right. I could be wrong though. I feel like it's an elm tree, and there's like flowers, little like wildflowers, and golden glints in the, I don't know, for some reason the ground is covered with like golden grass, like dry ass California highway hillside. Like if you ever go up, well, the 101 or the 5 from like LA North, it's been a long time, so this could be different. Well, what's happening with the light here? Okay. Well, anyway, the hillsides are kind of yellow like this, and I've always associated that with dryness, because a lot of times it was like droughty. This was, like over 20 years ago, so I could be wrong now. Could be completely different. But anyway, that's what it looks like grasses down here at the bottom, and there's like these little glints or glows or something, and it could be dew catching the light. I'm not real sure what it is, but I just feel like there's like a magical element to it, like just an overall, like, this seems like a nice place to be. And then there's just this whole rip in the time-space continuum, and it's dark in there, and you don't, like, if you're just looking at this and you don't know WTF and the veil is not a thing to you, that could be like super frightening. And that's just one way to look at it, I guess, because like I know that that's not what that is representing at all. The darkness is sort of like unknown and kind of unseeable, mainly because it can't, like, the light is just, glaring it away. But it's not a bad place back there. I think it's more like unformed and unknown and unwritten, just like for the average bear. This pink, nice looking shoelace situation is, I think, more of a barrier than it just appears to be upon first glance. So I haven't been like reading the what the booklet has to accompany about this card. So, but this time I will, because it just seemed like a good idea. Repairing the veil. Forgiveness, making amends, recognition of our unity. Because, oops, already screwing it up. Let's try it again. Between us all is a thin veil appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them, so we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our own illusion, making it so hard. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection in unity. One more time. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. Good grief, did you get it that time? Me, I can see myself, so I'm not saying that in that tone to anyone. I can only see myself. I am cognizant of the fact that for somebody else seeing this, it looks like I'm looking at them. So I'm also speaking to that dynamic. Anyway, where did it go? Oh, here we go. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment. Now, see, that's interesting, because I often wonder about, like, just exactly what is the composition of this veil they're talking about. Is it the veil? I mean, kind of, but we are clawing at it out of fear, anger, jealousy, and resentment. That's what we're mad at. Like, something triggered us in this scenario to behave some kind of way, but what we're mad at is not really like the person or the situation. We're mad at the veil. That's bending my mind a little bit right now. I never noticed that. I guess pin it. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate one another, or manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us. That didn't sound clear. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller, distinct relationship. I'm sighing because I don't want to get too far off track, but the questions I was just asking about the veil's composition and then that last paragraph that I read was reminding me of this movie I just watched called The One Field. I meant to put it on my community page. I can't remember now if I did. I know I posted it in the last video I did. I think I put it in the information notes, but I'm going to post it on my community page. And the one field is like the veil, basically. And in there, oh, I didn't say post what? One field. And that's not how you spell it. Oh, yeah, it is. Never mind. Anyway, someone in that movie even says that, I think it's Cryon actually, that the veil is the field, like the collective unconscious space where, is unconscious the right word? Subconscious? I guess maybe subconscious is personal to an individual, and I'm talking about something more like that I've talked about before, like, or lots of people have talked about it, like the fabric of reality, the mesh, the matrix, the whatever kind of watery receptacle or body of water that we're all in together, that is not so easily cognizable when we're just in our conscious thinking brain state and not in the relaxed meditative state where spirit can get in, and downloads and upgrades and things like that can sort of squeak in between the cracks. Kind of sneak in there or sneak out of that darkness that, we can be fearful of it, I suppose, but we can also just like dispense with that because, like, okay, we get it, we don't know what it is, and like whatever happens pretty much. Like, you're already there, you have already done whatever it is, you have reached that point, like you're there now. So, but yeah, like, I guess that I answered my earlier question, and I guess I knew the answer about, like, what is the composition of the veil. Like, it's not like it's gonna have composition like this. It's gonna be something of a more airy nature that's harder to get a grip on, that's more of a fleeting idea, a bright flare of inspiration. So I'm going to just read what it says about the firefly. Since I keep grabbing the book, I must want to read out of it. Firefly, inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. The firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. This high-frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the firefly indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. There's firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness this creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious and elusive light? When in balance, right creates brainstorms. When out of balance, burnt out feels dull. To bring into balance, write a poem, draw. Well, I mean, I suppose you could take inspiration from that. That's less to do with what I'm talking about than what this book had to say, which reminds me, I did not finish what it had to say. Now's the time to examine where your actions has caused difficulty or harm to someone else. Now, was I just talking about this like the last video? And also where you have been the recipient of harm. Regardless of what side you're on, it is important to take responsibility for healing this rift by bringing love, compassion, deep listening, and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty, and you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim. Both positions of weakness. I'm going to read that again because that's not clear to me. Do this for you and for your own liberty, as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim. Both positions of weakness. I guess, and that's how you land hostage to them. Let go of your resentments, know your part in the dynamic, and make the appropriate amends with that newfound wisdom and understanding. Healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much-needed declaration of freedom. Okay, well, now I know why I wrote what I wrote before I started here. So I actually thought I was just going to upload this to WordPress, and I very likely will. But I was just inspired to write a bunch of stuff before I started recording. So not a bunch, it's just three sides, 3 pages, not both sides. What do you really want from your life? Don't talk about all of the things that are wrong with it. Don't bring up other people or whatever's happened. Just think of what would make you happy. What can make you happy or happier in your life? I know. How to think about that. How to think about life without all of the stuff. How to think about life with all of the stuff extracted. It's a whole new thing. This is just a thought exercise of sorts. Take solitude. Take time. Not actual, literal, linear sections of time. If a person dislikes solitude, like, no one's going anywhere. That's what I mean about the time. Like, as you can act as if, like, I don't know who or what's around you right now in this moment, but I'm not saying that they literally actually have to go away for a period of time, but you can take time when you have a moment, you know, regardless of your surroundings, to just think about things in this manner that's so different from what's actually peripherally around us. So, some of us really dislike, getting ahead of myself. If a person dislikes solitude, like, no one's going anywhere, your physical surroundings won't be physically changing during this meditation. So some of us really dislike being alone. So this is not the case with me. I want to imagine myself as that person who can't stand the quietude, waiting at home, after the workday, after closing time, after the gig, after... now, after friends plead exhaustion and go home to sleep, to be left alone with the thoughts of our own, for some of us, seems to represent a house of horrors. Sleep or some distraction or other only goes so far. For our friend, our imagined friend, they know eventually the distractions begin to fail, and thoughts that have an urgency to be properly pondered clamor for attention at the edge of an ever-eroding the person knows that eventually the distractions will begin to fail, and the thoughts that have an urgency to be properly pondered will begin to clamor at the edge of an ever-eroding attention span, no longer able to shield them from intruding. We all have our own specific fears and biases that we hide from ourselves because we fear the confrontation with them will harm us, even destroy us in extreme cases. I mean, I'm speculating here, but, like, I keep uncovering things in myself that I wasn't even aware were lurking there. And it's led to some erratic behavior. some straight tripping. It really made me afraid of irrevocably destroying structures I really care about, as it turns out. You might say it's done. It's the direct inspiration for this thought exercise, the sort of landmine, the personal landmine in my mind that just had me acting and feeling kind of crazy. So none of us is immune to this. There's factors at play we may not have considered because whether consciously or not, we have buried stuff that is buried, but when it is neglected too long, it starts to require the attention it's been denied for too long, and it becomes like a earth-shaking tremor. That's a dire signal that we may have waited too long to deal with it. We must need to clear our schedule and prioritize definitely before it's too late. Before we do something ill-considered, reactionary, that we'll come to regret. Better to go looking for it, mind that problem first, before it can turn into an actual problem. Like, let's just say you don't have to die to be resurrected. Like, you can actually, like, if you are that person that can't stand to be alone and has to have at least the noise of humans or something around them and then just suffer in, like, without the presence of some form of humanity in their near vicinity, then I mean, I would think that that's a problem if that were me, because I am an only child. That's how I grew up, but I also understand the need to interact with people, and it's not good to just completely shut yourself off from others. So I had been, you know, like, going through my own stuff, but also just thinking of, like, the greater portion of us, and what, like, all of us are going through some kind of thing, and it's like current events are making us all feel some kind of way. A big way to start rooting out personal stuff, and this is advice that I've seen in various places, like, enough times where I'm like, okay, I'll try it. But sometimes it just takes something said to you in enough different ways that you're like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. That is a good idea. Like, not to let stuff fester. And then, like, once you know that something's there, like, don't run from it, run toward it, even though it's scary, because, well, for one thing, I'm talking about stuff inside of ourselves, not any external anything doing stuff to us. Like, it's just you dealing with yourself. And I know that for some people that's really scary. I thought I wasn't scared of that, but like I said, I keep coming upon these unexpected little turd minds that I'm like, oh, okay, I thought I dealt with that. That's the thing, though. You can go through stuff like a whole bunch of different ways before you, like, go figure out or come across that way that's the right one, where all of the pieces of the puzzle fall into place and make sense, and then you can be like, oh, that's what that was. And but you know, there could be more work related to it, because, like, the little booklet was saying, and, like, I've been talking about this, like, unconsciously just sort of heading in the same direction. Like, it does. It is starting to make more and more sense that whatever we do to other people, we actually are doing to ourselves. In the sense that, you know, you do it, they have been made to feel some kind of way as a result of whatever you did because you were feeling some kind of way. Like, so in some kind of way, we need to maybe deal with that stuff before we start interacting with other people. But it's hard sometimes to know, like, oh shoot, I did that, this caused this to happen and made this person, like, we don't make people feel anything. We all feel stuff if that's how we feel like we are want to feel for whatever reason. But that's not to say that we can't, like, incur harm occasionally. And if we hurt someone, that is us making people, like, feel like something, right? So once having made that realization that, like, oh, I'm responsible for this and this and this I did cause this and this chain of events, and I don't really want those things to have happened. And it's hard sometimes to go directly back to the person and say, I am the cause of this, I am sorry, you know, like, so it's a process, it's a chain, like, more, it's, everything is a bunch of steps, basically. But what I have learned, I was told, not told it, but I've come across it a bunch of times. And so it's like, after a while, when a sign is like, starts seeming like a sign, and you've had gotten hit upside the head with it like 55 times, you got to realize, oh my, it's a sign trying to tell me something. If it's hard for you to deal with, then obviously, I mean, for you to go and, like, make amends with someone about something, it might be somewhat easier if you first make amends with yourself for having done it. Like, hunt down, if you can, because it's not, like, there's no manual for this. All I can just say is, if you have the intent to repair this, you'll find a way. Like, a way will come to you. So I have found it's sometimes, and it doesn't sound right at first, but eventually it started to make sense, which is like, I have to forgive myself for having even done the thing that started the whole ball of wax rolling with the cause and effect, you know, like, and that's even, like, out of order, because the cause starts with me, and then the effect is because of how I behaved. And occasionally people are in the way of that. Like, they get your caca on them, it splashes, or else it's directed at them. And there are very few occasions where it's appropriate, where it is the case that whatever you're upset about is really and truly the fault of someone else. There are times, but most of the time it's something that, like, maybe we didn't need to make that big of a deal about, you know. And, like, sometimes the way that we act is just not appropriate, or react, you know. And the thing about our lives is we get to do this stuff over and over in different ways until we get it right. I think that's, like, the point. Kind of the point. Crazy about the veil stuff, though. It's not what I thought it's not what I thought it was. What the heck did I even think it was? I just am realizing, not for the first time, that I don't know. That's why I kept asking, what the heck is it made of? Like, what is it? Well, I guess I got my answer. I've only been asking how long now? At least 4 or 5 years before I even thought to ask the question. So I also pulled some tarot cards from my Lightseers deck here. And I often look, I mean, this is kind of obvious. Like, it even says, like, forces trying to, like, deter you from your calm, from your attention, from your whatever you're concentrating on. And in this case, she's not concentrating on anything meant to hurt anybody else. She's in her own world. She's in her bubble. She's just trying to get straight with and about, you know, whatever it is that's going on with her. That takes kind of like emotional intelligence. Like, this is not to say that she's not feeling or even understanding where all of this is coming from. It's just that she's like, I can't, that's not mine to think about, to deal with right now. At the moment, I got other more important things to think about than fussing and fighting, or listening to fussing and fighting, or answering questions from people that are just trying to get a rise out of me or want something. Then this has been something I've been experiencing quite a lot lately, is strangers wanting more from you, like, before they put any kind of work, to where you feel like, I want to give a stranger like anything. And it's the friend request thing. I talk about it every now and again, but it really kind of bothers me, because you don't need a friend request if you want to be friendly with me. All of my sites are public. You can just talk to me. But people always want to go directly to, like, instant message or direct message or something, and it's like, why don't you want to just talk to me right out here in the open, where you already can complain that I won't let you get me alone? I don't want to hear about it. Like, you can't just say what you want to say. I don't have time, so you keep clacking at the crystal ball, but I ain't letting you in. And for me, that has taken some time to get to a place where I feel comfortable enough, just like laying down my law and being like, look, that's just it. You can say whatever, but I have said what I have to say. So I hear ya. I understand where you're coming from, but you know, sometimes it just has to be about yourself. And then when you accomplish a certain degree of emotional intelligence and have garnered some strength behind your own convictions, and perhaps faced some unpleasant realities about yourself, then you can go on and, like, better deal with the world that you have to face every day, that is sort of uncompromising and unforgiving in a lot of ways, because many of us are concerned with who's saying what, when did they say it, what's it about, why did they say it, instead of getting to know their own heart and mind and getting to the reality of the situation. So there's a seed within us, and we can feed it. Well, we can feed it or starve it, but it also depends on what we feed it. Are we asking the right questions? Are we saying things that are helpful to us or to anyone else? Have we reached a stage where we can say, listen, all of that is really less important as, like, going home, sitting with yourself and your thoughts, and problems are only problems until we deal with them and work them out, and then like the bad stuff can fall away and perhaps become fertilizer to grow, like feed new growth from the realizations of like how we've been handling things. And sometimes handling things is we don't do it well, like I was saying. But if we invest the time and nothing happens instantly. Like even if you do all of the things, like forgive yourself for behaving in a way that hurt someone else, that you, well, whether you did or did mean to do it, if you come to a realization that perhaps it was not the best possible thing to do, and that's a first step to getting here, but eventually that's all gonna bloom, like you are gonna become comfortable with yourself. And even those that want to like talk to you and want things from you, well, they're just gonna have to like take what they can get, and you're not required to like give up all for everyone else. Like it's better to find it within ourselves and be comfortable with what we eventually find, because I mean, especially if you have it in your mind to like repair the situations and sort of for some reason AA is coming to mind, and like I've never been myself, but I know plenty of people that have been, and I know that there's a certain point, and you can reach this point without AA or any of the A's, but it's just instrumental to what I want to say right now, that they have a structure and they have a system. And when people go in there, they need all the help they can get. They I guess I would say have forgotten themselves and kind of what's right, as far as like not making it all about you and being so selfish. And the thing about any kind of substance abuse is that like you will reach a point where the substance and the acquisition of it and the the actually using of the substance, the actualization of it becomes more important than everything else. And it could be money, like greed has made a lot of us, I mean, we've made like capitalism, i.e. greed, like a founding principle almost. Is almost shoving the Constitution aside. Like just it's more having more than the other person and having better, and it's like that's really not an important thing though. So for those kind of people, oh my goodness, more contemplation is required. Although that's not even this point. That's I don't have the card right now, but it is the card of like you don't know and you don't care to know because you're too busy getting your whatever it is on. And that's too bad. That's like being trapped in your own world. That's look at what's in there. The person is like the Hitchcock movie, The Birds, except she's not trying to run from running from them. There's no phone booth to duck into. They're her birds. She's not getting away from them. And that's like you've sealed yourself into like this belief system. And it could be like an organization, a movement, if you will, or it could just be an inability to break free of some type of programming. We can program ourselves. Like there's not always an external villain, and that's like it. We can get to this point and not even realize that we have done this to ourselves. And until it might be too late, or almost too late to repair things with some people. But you have to also go through what's bugging you. Like in the AA, there's like steps, but eventually you reach a point where you're making amends. You're trying to like put your life back on the right course. And part of the making of the amends is they do say, not like forgive yourself. What they say is, I have no power, God has all the power. That's true, and it's not true, because that's like giving up your own agency. You have free will and you have agency, and God gave that to us if you want to go scripture and AA. But I came into contact with someone that I felt like they did not understand what they were being told. Like, to say that you have no power is not the same as saying that you can't affect some sort of responsibility. Like, to say that, like, oh, I did that stuff, but, like, God made me do it. No, I don't think they were saying that at all. So, still had to be scraping that trapped system, that well they were down. Like, they just, I feel like, still weren't getting it. And it's not easy. Sometimes you have to walk away from stuff you care about, or stuff that you thought was important. But at some point, you grow and you evolve, and you're ready to move on. So you leave that stuff behind. Now, I have referred to this. Where's my indicator? This here as like an unbinding spell, or what was there was another word, like unbinding, but also like a breaking of a barrier, like breaking through, because I noticed something I didn't until I pulled this card earlier. The reflection in the water as she's walking away, I was looking at it and I was like, huh, that reflection does not really resemble a human being walking away. I thought, that sure looks like a pawn, like a chess piece. And then it occurred to me, getting trapped in these systems where it's like your thoughts flying around. You don't have to adhere to these beliefs forever. Like, you get something out of them, and at some point, like, you're done. So she's not just walking away as a person. She is done being a pawn of being trapped in a system that perhaps makes no actual sense. But you really have to go through some stuff, and it might be addiction of some kind. In fact, it's almost always some variation on that theme. We get to a place where we're doing things obsessively, and they become so important that everything else falls into disarray and neglect, and it's just not healthy for any of us. So if all goes well, you find the way to discard what was like holding you down, anchoring you to unhealthy things and ideas. And sometimes walking away means you gotta burn it down. And I'm not saying burn down real estate or anything, or people or anything like that. I'm talking about the spell that I'm talking about is you write down the things that you want to be rid of, and you light them, and then you put them in a little receptacle, and you don't have to float it away somewhere. But this ocean, it kind of goes along with like the veil being a big body of water that we're all in. And this bit is pulled out from it because we're gonna discard it. She doesn't need it anymore. It wasn't even helping her like it was, like as in the thing that you signed up on your life path to go through. But you can be done with it too. And she's just like, it's a drip in the water. I'm gonna just like burn off all of the bad energy that no one needs. And ashes are like a sign of rebirth. So then you're starting over, you're starting anew and letting that old stuff go away. Okay, I think I got it all out. Except to say, we're going to have ups and downs, and the best thing we can do is do our best, even while all of this other stuff is going on, to give ourselves the reprieve, because in a lot of ways, we're the only ones that can do that too, from all of the shielding from the external voices, because that gets tiring. You know, you eventually want to get to the point where you're like, all right, I have found who I am. I am totally happy. This is what works for me. This is the way to go. But you do have to go through this. And you do have to get to this point before you become the Queen of Wands or the King of Hearts. You know, it's a process. Everything is a process. I don't know if you noticed. Rarely do things happen instantly. And even when it seems like they have or they do, it's probably not the case. There's just probably stuff going on in progression for a while that you just kind of were unaware of. Anyway, I think that's it. Thank you and good night.